This Week in Startups is brought to you by Cisco Spark. Get video meetings, team messaging, digital whiteboarding, file sharing, and calling all in one secure app. Visit ciscospark.com to learn more and sign up for free.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of This Week in Startups. I'm your host, Jason Calacanis. I'm an angel investor, entrepreneur, former journalist, publisher. I've done it all. Been in the industry for about, Brian, doing this since we were teenagers, I guess. So
right.
It's going on 30 years being in the tech business. I'm here with my BFF, Brian Alvey, a former business partner and just overall friend.
Absolutely.
So today we got something special for the audience. We're going to share about a half dozen of the companies that were at the launch festival. Mm-hmm. Although this year at the launch festival, we did something very unique. Equity crowdfunding.
Right.
Which is the public getting to invest in startups for the first time. Now, you would think about it and say, wait a second, I thought the public was always investing in startups. You might have given a friends and family investment for somebody's, bagel store or dry cleaner. Right. But what we're talking about here is investing in high-tech startups, which has previously only been the realm of what's called accredited investors, not non-accredited investors, as you know. So as a founder of your own company, tell me a little bit about how you look at this new category of potential investors. It's kind of exciting, yeah?
So it is exciting because it's wide open now, right? There aren't these restrictions. You don't have to be super wealthy to invest $500 if you want in a startup, right? It's very interesting. Normal people used to have to wait until the IPO. So when Facebook finally IPO'd, Google finally IPO'd, they could put some money on that. Sure. And by that time, it probably isn't going to double. Although in their case, they did really well.
In those cases, it did. But in some other cases, it might be like Snap or Twitter where it goes sideways for a long time. Right. It goes in half, yeah.
So before this, there was the accredited investing where you had to have a certain amount of wealth and a certain amount of...
$2 million. Right. And a couple of $100,000.
You couldn't just risk anything.
It's about 3 or 4% of the United States population.
Correct. And so this opens it up wider, which is in some ways it's exciting. A lot of people look at it and they think it's more like a last resort, right? You go for the high net worth angels type people or the high net worth investors that invest with angels in a syndicate. And then this is the last one you do. And I understand that. I think it would only be the last resort for me just because of the amount of work, like training those people, right?
Sure.
That's what I worry about, is explaining to them how to wire the money, how this whole process works, that sort of thing. Right. I think the people who've been doing the syndicates for a while are in better shape. But on the flip side, if you have an organization, if your church wants to back your startup, now they can do it. They can just dive into one of these types of things, correct?
Yeah.
So more civilian access, that sort of thing.
And that's, to me, what's really exciting about it. You bring in like, hey, this is new. It's a little bit scary. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I heard 5 years ago when we were doing AngelList syndicates or SPVs. Everybody told me, Jason's syndicate, AngelList, SeedInvest, these places doing SPVs, it's never going to work. Taking $1,000 or $5,000 from 50 investors, and now it seems to become the standard.
But it feels like that's been around for decades, and you just said 5 years.
It's been 4 years, 5 years, yeah.
That's nuts. Okay.
And it feels like this has been part of the landscape forever.
Right.
I believe what we're going to see with this, what we call equity crowdfunding, which is the non-accredited investors joining the party, I believe in this. I believe that this will have a similar trajectory to what we saw with syndicates with accredited investors, which is there'll be some brave entrepreneurs who take this on. Mm-hmm. They train a group of people to make these kind of bets, to make these investments.
Right.
And of course, this is something you're going to have to really think about. In fact, that's why I wrote the book Angel, which you helped me with.
Right.
And it's coming out July 18th. Because I do believe there's a revolution in angel investing coming, but you have to be educated about it. And I think this is the perfect way to do it, which is...
Great on-ramp.
A great on-ramp. We talk about this in a chapter of the book where we talk about just doing 10 small investments, but acting like a real angel investor, right?
Right.
Explain to people a little bit about our sort of strategy there.
Yeah, I was actually kind of impressed when you threw that out there. You're like, I have this hack that can get you started. You can't start out as me, right? You can't just, not everybody gets to sell a company and then dive into this, right? Or get backed by somebody because of their stature. So instead, it's there are these syndicates out there. Just go in there, get your feet wet. Think of this like when you're on the founder side and you need to get your first bunch of customers. You need 10 customer logos on your site. Yep. Then you can go to Coca-Cola and McDonald's and all these big companies and say, I have all these. It's the same thing with investing. You get 10 logos on your site as an investor. Doesn't matter what they are. I mean, it does matter what they are, right? But it matters more who you invested with, what syndicate did you join, that sort of thing. So it's a really great hack to get that under your belt to now be in year 3. But it only takes a month. And
just to give you a little bit of background on this, we couldn't do this ourselves at the launch festival. We needed a partner. We chose a great partner, SeedInvest. SeedInvest does both accredited investors and this new equity crowdfunding. So these are called side-by-side campaigns. You have, legitimate angel investors who have been doing it for a while, like myself, investing in these companies. And in fact, I'm going to invest in each one of the companies we see today. But then side-by-side, non-accredited investors can join. And SeedInvest vets every company, and they say no to companies.
Right.
So they do their own diligence. They're not an open platform. They have to vet things, and I think it's 1% of companies get to go on the SeedInvest platform.
It's like your incubator.
Very much like the incubator, 1%, right? So just to give you some other background, they have 150,000 investors over at SeedInvest. 25,000 of them are accredited, and they're there's been a lot of startups who have applied to this. When we did it at the launch festival, 17 startups chose to do it. And those startups have raised $3.5 million from 1,800 investors, ranging from $500 to up to $350,000. And one of the companies we'll see today, Kylie.ai, they did a $1.5 million seed round, which was oversubscribed, and that included $1 million raised through the SeedInvest platform. So that's pretty amazing. And I think that was a combination of accredited and non-accredited, right? Those side-by-side campaigns. So first up is Colin from Swiftmile. How you doing, Colin?
Fantastic.
Now, you were at the launch festival.
Yep.
Tell everybody a little bit about that experience. How was that for you?
It was great. It was incredible. Just kind of being out there with all these other great startups and mentors and advisors and all kinds of investors. For us, it was like a debut. And so we had great feedback, and it also helped us with our SeedInvest round.
Awesome. So you have 3 minutes on the clock. We have the beautiful Cisco Spark board, which is a brand new smart whiteboard and conferencing system with cameras and microphones that we use here at launch, and it's amazing. But you are going to use it today to demo Swiftmile. So I'll put 3 minutes on the clock, and Brian and I will take notes. And you ready to go?
Ready to go.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
So as we say in the incubator, 3, 2, go.
Well, great. It's an honor to be here. My name's Colin Roach. I'm founder, CEO of Swiftmile. We're building the world's first electric bike sharing system. Here's a staggering statistic. 96 million people every day drive less than 15 miles to work. Yet we get on the roads, we sit in traffic, and it's miserable. I don't need to tell you how bad traffic is. All you got to do is sit in it to understand. You look at regular bike share, which we applaud, but it gets low usage. You don't want to be this guy. You don't want to have the back sweat. People look at it and they realize, man, I wish there was maybe a motor on that, something I didn't have to sweat. So if you look at our system, we built the world's first 100% renewable power transit system. Let's walk through how it works. We have our mobile app that works as a virtual key to locate and find our electric bikes that have a 40-mile range. These things help you go 20 miles an hour. Complete boost, no sweat. They're plugged into our solar power charging stations, which are quick to deploy, easy to set up, completely off-grid. Our app itself, as I mentioned, allows you to reserve the bike even before you're sitting in your office. You go down there now, you've reserved it, boom, you hit unlock, it unlocks, and now you could go on your way. You can even take these home if you're at a corporation. When you're done, it gives you all this cool data, time, distance, speed, even how much you've lowered your carbon footprint. We store it kind of like Fitbit for a bike, so you could gamify yourself. Our main market to date right now, corporations and hotels. Why? They're the low-hanging fruit. There's a huge need for this. People realize the multimodal world is out there for us, and they need the different ways to get around other than a car. Which leads us to why. We need to be less dependent on cars. We can't build many more roads. Traffic is getting worse. It's just a big kind of sad state of affairs for getting around. Our revenue model is this. We're bikes as a service. We charge upfront about 1/3 of our costs that help offset our hardware costs. And this is for delivery, installation, and onboarding. And then we charge as the bikes move. So as the bikes are moving, we're making money. We invoice the customers. If you're a corporation right now, such as Google, our first customer, we invoice you monthly, giving you all this data that you can also share as well with cities if you're trying to get permits. You can show how many trips you've avoided to share with cities for other things as well. To date, we're at Google. We're at the Santa Clara Valley VTA. We have a fat and growing pipeline. This is us debuting on the NBC nightly news. That's my ugly mug right there. That's the station, one of the stations we set up. This is kind of a better look at the system itself at the Santa Clara VTA. This is us photobombing Lester Holt on the NBC nightly news. Just kind of happened on a random night. The two big markets we're serving, the electric bike market, which is screaming hot. Every major manufacturer is getting into it. We share enable these electric bikes. We don't build the bikes, we partner with the bike manufacturers, allowing us to tap into all that innovation. Combined with the bike sharing market has taken off. There's a lot of overseas bike manufacturers that have raised millions and millions of dollars because really people understand car ownership is in decline. Other ways of getting around are big. Verizon itself is a big partner of ours. They're not only our first investor, they invested in our seed round, but we have an MOU with them for distribution. Our competition is basically pedal bike share companies. The main part of our market, other than corporations, is campuses, cities, and dense housing complexes. And this is our team. I've got 20 years experience myself. We've got 60 years experience behind us. I've earned these gray hairs, and we're excited to be here at this launch interview.
Yeah, okay. Well done. Mini golf clap there. We'll give you the mini golf clap. All right, Colin. So that's Swiftmile. And for people who are listening, if you didn't see it, it's basically a bike stand with a bunch of solar panels. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming there's some batteries there to store from the sun, and then it charges these electric bikes. Mm-hmm. And then you're charging the companies $5 per don't worry about that. $5 per half hour or $10 an hour to use the bikes.
About that, yeah.
About $10 an hour for the bike.
Yep.
And Google felt okay with that pricing.
Yes.
How big is the Google deployment? This is your first anchor tenant. Is it 2 bikes or 20 bikes or 200?
Right now, we're in definite startup mode. We've got about 2 systems set up there. 2 systems equals 4 bikes. At the Santa Clara VTA, same thing.
Is this a paid pilot or an unpaid pilot?
Paid.
So they're actually paying. How long have they been doing it?
Well, they had their first deployment about a year ago.
Got it.
And same with the Santa Clara VTA. But that was our dumb system. We're now deploying our smart system with the IoT connected
Okay.
side.
So how many potential bikes would a Google use at their campus? Because I know they have free bikes all over the place, but they're not electric.
Nope.
So why would they use, I'm going to ask you the hard question first, which is, why would they use your system as opposed to just buying a bunch of electric bikes and leaving them everywhere? Because that's what they do with their regular bikes.
Sure. Yeah. Well, first off, you don't get any of that data. Second off, they don't want to manage it. They don't want to be in the business of managing bikes. I mean, Google's Google.
But they already are.
Well, they do, and that's part of the problem. They've created this huge network of untrackable bikes. It's a huge operations nightmare. So they want a way to not only track these, but they want more people riding these. They have 20,000 people a day come into their work. Not all of them are riding bikes.
Great. Brian, do you have any questions for Colin?
I do have a couple. So I see a lot of startup pitches, and when you first said it's a bike sharing thing, I was like, oh, that's not going to work in San Francisco because you turn any random corner and you're going either up a mountain or down a mountain. I mean, it's nuts, and they have to carve staircases into the sidewalks here because of the crazy mountains in the middle of downtown. So that's kind of, and I was like, oh, but as a motor, well, that's good because that kind of saves you. That's pretty nice. But when I've heard pitches about sharing things like this, they say people will take the bikes into work, but then they'll take the bus home. So you end up with a whole bunch of bikes in the city, but none in the back near home. Yep. How do you solve that sort of problem of trying to keep bikes available everywhere, or is that a problem yet?
No, it's not a problem yet. And our main focus right now is because it's corporations, we onboard the employees at the corporation. Mm-hmm. So for example, they could take this home with them, they could take it on the bus with them, they can use it as their own transportation vehicle. So when we onboard you up front, we ask you, how do you plan on using this? Are you a commuter? Are you going to use this randomly for wellness trips or going to lunch? But because we start out being able to track all the bikes and knowing where they are, we don't have to guess where they are, we know where they are. And so we start to get a good handle on how these bikes are being used because they go to and from work, essentially. It's not a public system.
So if I take it home, I have to bring it back the next day. My incentive is otherwise I can't charge it, and it just becomes a bike.
Right.
And then am I paying that whole time?
No, what we've done is you're only paying when it's moving. So like we have during commute hours, we charge a certain fee. If you take it home at night, there's no overnight fee or anything like that. But because they have a 40-mile range, you taking it to, you don't need to charge it at home unless you take it home for a week, in which case we'll send you a notice saying time to get back to the crowd.
Cool.
All right, great. Well, listen, continued success with Swiftmile. I think this is a booming space, obviously, electric bicycles. I've been watching it in China and in Europe. It's really growing quickly.
Yep.
They're way too expensive, though. I mean, I've looked at a lot of the e-bike companies, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a bike.
Yep.
But then I went to Burning Man, and my friends had set up regular bikes, and they just added batteries to them for $200, and they were pretty great. Why are they costing so much money to buy certain bikes, and how much do your bikes cost?
Well, so that
You're
market,
not making the bike, obviously.
yeah, we're partnering with bike manufacturers, and that lets us sort of tap into all the innovative bikes that are coming into the market.
What do they cost? Talk turkey to me.
Well, you could get a great electric bike for $1,500, $2,000. Ours
Seems
costs-
too expensive.
It does. That's why we put these into a sharing system. Ours is quite a bit less. Ours is below $1,000. We add our tech layer onto that adds a certain cost. But
You can buy them for under $1,000.
Yep.
Why are there not $500 electric bicycles here? Because I hear in China, they're much less.
Yeah, well, it's the way the industry is right now in regards to lithium-ion batteries is it's all about the battery, really. I mean, a good electric bike has a great battery, and that's going to be your basically.
What does that battery cost?
That's between about $300 to $600 for the battery alone.
Just for the battery.
Yes.
To have a really good battery.
A good battery that's not going to cop out on you, not going to go through all the different recalls and all these things that you've seen in the media.
All right, listen, Colin, continued success with Swiftmile, and we'll go take a look at SeedInvest.com/launch to check out the deal. Well done. Hey everybody, I'm super excited about our latest partner on This Week in Startups. It's called Cisco Spark. From Cisco, you know Cisco, of course you know Cisco. Cisco Spark is a new meeting platform and a communication platform for teams. And we're using it here at This Week in Startups, and it is life-changing. It can make working together so easy, so pleasant. And in this package, for one low price of free, you get, yes, that's right, free, you get video meetings, team messaging, like chat, you know how that works, digital whiteboarding, I'm going to get into that in a minute, file sharing, and calling. All of this together in one secure app that works on any of your devices, Android, tablet, iPad, iPhone, desktop, you get the idea. And it's the fastest way to host and join meetings, and it works with industry-leading video systems like, yes, the Cisco Spark board. I have the Cisco Spark board, and this is a touch-based, all-in-one device where literally I click and I say, everybody who's in this room, like a chat room, everybody in this Cisco Spark room, I want you to join this video conference. Somebody could be at home, another person could be in a hotel or on the road, on their phone, on the BART. 2 people could be in the New York office, 2 people could be in the San Francisco office. All of a sudden, we're all in one space on the Cisco Spark board with all of our files from that chat room. And we can then pick an image like we did for the launch festival and start drawing on it and saying, hey, let's move these tables here. It is amazing. And the Cisco Spark board comes in 55 inches or 70 inches. It's kind of like an all-in-one touchscreen whiteboard camera with amazing microphones where if you're in the back of the room, it picks you up perfectly. And the video quality, it makes you feel like you're in the same room without having to spend what used to be, I think, $250,000 or $50,000 to outfit a room. You can now do it for low thousands of dollars. It's pretty amazing. I love my Cisco Spark board. And on this very program, This Week in Startups, we're going to start putting Cisco Spark boards in other cities so that entrepreneurs and investors from, say, New York, Los Angeles, maybe London, Berlin, Hong Kong, Tokyo, Seoul, can then video conference into the show, and we can start doing remotes with startups from around the world. How exciting is that? All powered by Cisco Spark and the Cisco Spark board. If you want to see all this exciting stuff and try the software, go to ciscospark.com, ciscospark.com to learn more and sign up for free. Thanks for joining the team, Cisco. Let's get back to this amazing program. All right, we're about to go to our next company, Brian. And if you want to see these companies, these are all available to invest in today. I can't believe I'm saying that. Anybody in the United States can invest in these companies. Just like anybody could go to Vegas and put money on a roulette table, or anybody could buy a publicly traded stock. Now we're seeing that same freedom come to startups. I'm really excited about it. Okay, so you can go to SeedInvest.com/launch, SeedInvest.com/launch to see these great companies. And, they're all pre-screened.
Right.
These are not random companies. You're not allowed to just put anything up on SeedInvest. You have to pass an investment committee. So they're all solid. Okay, next up is Orion from Lendsnap. You were at the launch festival. Yes, Orion?
That's right.
And this is the 3rd time we're meeting, or 4th time. We met even before you came to the launch festival. You've been working on this startup for a little bit.
Yeah, sure have.
Okay, so we'll put 3 minutes on the clock. We'll give you a full 3 minutes to explain your vision for how the world should change with Lendsnap. 3, 2, go.
Thanks, Jason. My name is Orion Parrott, and at Lendsnap, we're connecting lenders to all the data that they need to qualify their borrowers. Now, we're starting in mortgage, where the problem is most acute. On this screen, we see Sally Stevens. She's a loan officer at a mortgage lender, and this is our application where she can pick out the documents that she needs Bill to turn in to get a loan. These are things like many months of bank and investment statements, 2 years of tax returns, pay stubs, W-2s, and the list could get much longer. Her customer Bill will receive an email that looks like this with a clear call to action and a list of what he needs to turn in. He'll be able to log into Lendsnap where he'll see that same list and his loan officer's face. So we've created a complete point of sale system for them. Now Bill, the magic happens because he doesn't have to upload these documents. He can link to his financial accounts through Lendsnap and we will import all the documents that he needs. So here he's doing Capital One, and while that's happening, while we're going out to his bank and pulling in this data, we're taking a 6-hour process and turning it into 20 minutes. Bill can go link another account. And now he's going to pick out Bank of America from the list. And you can see the statements start flowing in. So again, we're cutting that effort down to 20 minutes on both sides of the table. He can upload a driver's license if he likes. Or whatever other documents are requested. While he was doing that, we can see a lot more statements came in. We found each account that was at Capital One and Bank of America, and we don't just go to bank statements, we go to employer portals like ADP, Paychex, and here Bill is linking Gusto. So the statements will just appear, and we keep these up to date during the process, of course. So we save a lot of back and forth. This is really 30% of the time the loan officer spends in their job. This is an example of a statement. We've blanked out the personal information, and back on Sally's side, all of these are visible to her immediately. Now, our loan officers have really been loving what we've built. We finished our private beta in November, and since December, we've been growing steadily. We're up to over 200 applications per month, and our customers tell us we've improved their conversion to close loans overnight, and that we've helped them close loans that they would have lost. Now, we're really at a pivotal time. I call it the rise of connected lending, and this is a $15 billion human labor problem that we're fixing. Lendsnap is really at the center of this, and there's a big problem, though. As data for mortgages becomes electronic, most lenders, 12,000 of them in the US, cannot access this. They have no internal tech. They cannot rely and tap into the APIs that are driving this change. We make it accessible to them with a point-of-sale system that keeps their underwriting process intact, and they can even sign up online and get started in a single day. Now, we have the best team to implement this. I've been a real estate investor since I was a teenager, and I've developed software for the US government in national defense. And yeah.
All right, so I see here you've raised $870,000 of your $1 million seed round.
This slide's out of date. It's $920,000 now.
Congrats, you're almost there. And you're at $5,000 a month in reoccurring revenue, MRR,
That's right,
as we say in the business. So we'd love to ask concise questions. This is one of the things you'll learn as an angel investor. We talk about it in the book, in fact, to ask concise questions and listen and see if you can get the straight answer from the founder. Sometimes founders don't want to answer questions. You got to be a bit of a detective, no?
Correct. No, you have great stories about that in the book.
Yeah, and so we really, this is a great moment of truth for folks. When you ask questions to a founder, if they can't give you a straight, concise answer, could be a red flag. Right. So let's see if we get any red flags now when I ask Orion some questions, or if he can give me quick, tight answers that make sense.
No pressure.
No pressure, Orion. How do you make money?
So we make money, we sell to the lenders like Sally, who we showed. We charge $100 per seat per month.
Okay. And you can see how concise that answer is. It's the classic SaaS model, software as a service. Anybody who's a lender, a mortgage broker, I guess you call them.
Either one,
a lender or mortgage broker pays $100 per month. So if they do 10 loans a month or 5 loans a month, 20 loans a month, it's the same price.
That's right.
So they don't have to even think about it.
That's right. It aligns with them using it.
Right. So that should take out a lot of the friction. Now, here comes another question. Let's see how concisely we can get to the truth here, right? Because we're trying to evaluate the business. How many months did it take you to get the product to market? It went to market, it looks like, in Q1. Is that right?
It did, yeah, publicly.
So how many months and how much money have you invested so far to get to the public launch?
So we have spent about $600,000 to get where we are now. That's some of my own money.
Oh, wow.
As well. I put in $120,000 of my own.
Amazing. So we love to hear that as angel investors. Now we're like, oh, wow, Orion could lose $120,000.
Right.
Are you a married man?
We're in. I'm single.
You're single. Okay, so there's no spouse who's going to be really concerned about that. But still, it does add a little pressure to you.
It is a concern.
You have skin in there, which is great. We like to see that. And it's pretty lean when you think about it. They spent $600,000. How many months did it take to get here? 18 months, I would guess.
So
12 months?
from about the beginning, you could probably say 18 months. And that includes a lot of compliance and regulatory issues,
Of course.
penetration testing. We're dealing with bank data. We have to do bank level security.
Right. So now you get to Sportscast. You get to see the interaction here. You get to see the actual process I have as an angel, which is I just want to know how good is this founder at getting a product launched?
Right.
And how capital efficient? $600,000 to launch a beta? Not bad.
The one he showed. Fantastic.
Yeah, and it's in a very regulated space.
Right.
And he did it in 18 months, which, that's pretty capital efficient and I think time efficient.
And that's a very good reason for why it takes as long as it takes, right? If you got through the regulations, it's a big hurdle.
Absolutely. Brian, what questions do you have for Orion from Lendsnap?
Good question. So a couple things. So I would think the first thing that
Or impressions, by the way. Your general impressions are allowed.
I think walking through the product, it looked really good. I think you immediately understand the value. You understand that Sally now. I love when you said that it helps them close these people. They don't lose them because there's a tracker, a to-do list, something hounding them that's not Sally to say, get me your data, Bill. I wonder. So my first question, I have two. First question is, what's to stop every single person at Wells Fargo from logging in as Sally and paying you $100?
Well, we only allow each user to have one session at a time. It just wouldn't
that's
work.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's like the
Perfect
Netflix
answer.
model. We
Yep.
kick you out. Somebody else is watching the
Yeah,
video.
two IP addresses.
Anyway, music systems do the same.
Spotify might do
Spotify
that
does it.
too.
Yep.
Spotify does the same thing.
In fact, a lot of those systems will allow a small amount of piracy
Right.
or abuse of the system.
They
let's
want you
say.
to get addicted.
Because they want you to get addicted. So Netflix in the early days would allow you to have 20
Right.
people on the system, and
Or just
then
have
they
Word
would.
for a long time. Put it on a floppy and go.
This is what I
Yeah.
understood, and then they would
Right.
slowly
Right.
rein you in.
Right. Especially in businesses.
Exactly. Okay. And your
So,
second question.
Looking at that and watching again how it helped them end to end, have you had any feedback about fraud? Because it seems like if you asked me to send in some PDFs, I can go fake them and I can say, oh, I'm totally still on the payroll and being paid this amount. Yeah. But if you sign in and you look at my actual Gusto, Chase, whatever the data is, it's very hard to fake that. And then I love when you said, and 2 weeks later, they're going to know if you got another pay stub or not. They're not going to know that it wasn't a one-time thing.
Well, you got fired.
So, correct. You may have gotten fired and you're
Sure.
showing the last pay
It's
stub,
change.
but it's your last one ever. So has anybody said this is going to be amazing for weeding out fraud? Is that feedback you've gotten?
Yeah, definitely. Fraud in mortgage alone has been identified as a $2 billion a year problem. That's consumers doctoring statements, which is easy to do,
Right.
easy to change a PDF with the software that comes with your computer, and we stop that problem from happening.
That's
Hey,
what it is.
I keep hearing about Rocket Loans or Rocket Mortgage or something like that. What is it called?
Yeah, Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans.
By Quicken Loans. Okay, now it's
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of a mouthful. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans.
Yep.
Which is the guy who owns the Cavs.
Correct. Yeah, the Quicken Loans
is the
arena.
guy who owns it, and they do this same process, except they do the loan as well, right? Are they your big competitor right now, and are they the mortgage broker's competitor? How do you look at them?
Very interesting question. Yeah, they're the mortgage broker's competitor. They're really not our competitor. Now, maybe indirectly or maybe in the future, they're actually licensing their software from a competitor of ours. They didn't build that. They get it from a company called Form Free. And so we don't compete with them because their software is captive to them, right? So they're competing with anybody who's lending. We're helping all the lenders compete with Rocket Mortgage by giving them the same technology. And to do that, we're actually using superior technology by giving them the original statements as well, which is what every lender needs to use.
So it's a bit of an arms race to see
It
who
is.
can do this the most efficiently.
That's right.
And you help arm the mortgage brokers to
We
compete.
are.
Now, just to give a little sort of meta discussion here about angel investors interacting with entrepreneurs, Orion comes across as incredibly earnest, astute, hardworking. You kind of get that sense by the way he answers the questions very concisely. He's focused on one thing.
Right.
And he knows his market, right? So this is what you're looking for as an angel investor is somebody who you think can be credible and hardworking and see a business through. And when you start to see the design of the product and how well crafted it is, to me, that's always an early indicator that I can get comfortable and get behind an entrepreneur. Because if a person was going to do great work in the world, they would have done it already, is one of my core beliefs. So when I look at your product, Orion, and this is a kudos to you, the product looks so clean and well designed and well thought out. Oh, we don't just have ADP, we have Gusto. Oh, and we put your bank statement in, and it's uploading in the background while you're adding the next document.
Right.
These are all tiny little UX, UI details, user experience in our industry, that I can tell you're actually a very good craftsperson. You're a crafter. You're looking at this as a craftsman.
Focus on design.
And you're really focused on it. And that kind of stuff matters. It's just like going into a restaurant. Is the silverware clean? Mm-hmm. When you drink your water glass, how quickly do they refill it? Some restaurants never refill it. You have to ask. Other restaurants, it gets refilled and you don't even realize it. That's like the best restaurant, right? So you're really trying to assess, is this founder on it or not?
So as an angel investor, you're looking for both the visible, sort of above the table signals, and then all these other invisible signals around the presentation, the entrepreneur, the backstory, the product. And I know, and we cover this in the book a bunch, about picking the product apart, asking them, I think in the book you mentioned, ask them about one feature in the product. Well, how did you come up with putting the search box there and making it work like that?
Yeah.
And if they have a great story, that doesn't go on for 3 or 4 minutes, but a great concise story, we tried it this way, it didn't work, here's why, this is what we learned. We're so deep into this, we've already iterated a bunch of times, and we have the best version of it now.
Yeah.
And you go, wow, okay, good.
And
cross
what you're
another
seeing here is
invisible signal off the list.
Yeah, what you're seeing here is a 10-minute interaction.
Mm-hmm.
I always advocate for putting a full hour on your calendar.
Correct.
And it probably will only take 30 to 45 minutes. But when we met previously, I asked you a lot more questions.
That's right.
And a lot of those questions would be around, hey, why did you make this choice? Why did you make that choice?
Correct.
Who are your first customers going to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, are you going to go for a big company or a small company? How will you know? How are you going to, what's your go-to-market strategy? So you can start to ask these questions and just listen very intently to the answers. That's one of the big secrets to being a great angel investor, I think, a great investor, is to listen to the answers and form another question based on the answer to your previous question.
Correct.
Because then you can thread it together. Okay, listen, we could go on for days. Orion, congratulations
Wow.
on really a great product, and it looks like it's very promising. Well done.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along, we're going to see our next company, which is Kylie.ai. That's KYLIE.ai. There's a .ai extension. Obviously, that stands for artificial intelligence.
Right.
And Sinan, nice to see you again.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
I've now heard your pitch 3 or 4 times. A friend of mine introduced us. I think it might have been Rob May.
It was Rob May.
It was Rob May.
Yeah.
I've invested in 2 of Rob May's company, Tala,
He's great.
and previously before that, Backupify.
Backupify.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm a 2-time investor in his company. He put us together, and you had a good experience, I think, at the launch festival. Yeah, good feedback.
Fantastic experience.
Okay, so we're going to recreate your pitch. 3 minutes on the clock, and in 3, 2, go.
I'm Sinan Alzheimer, and I'm the founder of Kylie.ai. Kylie uses AI to clone brand personalities to automate customer support communication. By capturing these brand personalities, we're able to automate these messages on the company's behalf to handle rising ticket volumes. If you meet DiGiorno Pizza, now rumors are circulating that DiGiorno Pizza is thinking of making a vegan pizza. So let's go ahead and ask our DiGiorno clone on Twitter directly, when are you going to make a vegan pizza? Now, because this account is powered by Kylie, Kylie's going to listen to those tweets, figure out the best way to respond to it, and automatically draft or send a message back. So within seconds, we have a notification already back from DiGiorno AI. And when we look, when are you going to make a vegan pizza? The clone has said, never, with a pepperoni pizza emoji. Short, sweet, and to the point. So Kylie is a deep learning technology layer that integrates seamlessly with existing workflows. Setting up Kylie is completely automated on the company's behalf and requires 0 behavior change on either side of the conversation. The trick is, our product is not a platform. Our product is the ability to create empathetic responses in the voice of the company itself. As a former data science lecturer from the Johns Hopkins University, we've been able to integrate natural language understanding and generation to make AI more accessible, seamless, and more accurate than ever. Kylie looks at the previous responses and messages over the lifetime of the company. For example, how do I reset my password? By looking at all the ways that people have responded in the past, Kylie is able to generate the best, the 97% confident response Go to your account page, click on, she even wrote the gear icon emoji, and request a new password link. Companies will see an increase in consistency, a decrease in communication debt, meaning they no longer have to ask the person next to them how to answer a question, and overall the company will see better customer support relationships. Here's another example in Zendesk. The person has asked, where is my account info? And when an agent opens this ticket, all they'll see is a draft generated by Kylie to go to the account info. She even mentioned the gear icon, and she's 85% confident in this response. The agent can send it or alter it and send it whenever they want. The knowledge base that Kylie is creating in the form of a communications AI is able to serve as the best response at a moment's notice from any department. To date, we've cloned over 1,000 personalities and are actively working towards paid pilots with these customers. And I'm Sanan. I'm the founder of Kylie.ai, where we're building an empathetic AI communications layer. Thank you.
Okay, well done. We'll give that a big golf clap also for coming in 30 seconds under.
That never happens.
Never happens. What I love about your presentation, Sanan, is that you used great examples. Really, really great examples. And as I always tell people in the incubator, and you may have said this, or you may have heard me say this during rehearsals for the launch festival, examples matter. It's our job as entrepreneurs to give examples to investors, customers, potential employees, any stakeholder that vividly show and effectively show our product or service in the real world. And what was great here is when you start showing how do I reset my password and Zendesk and the confidence level, it just makes me go, wow, I don't have to wonder if this is needed in the real world. There is no doubt that this product is needed in the real world. There is no doubt that any company is repeating themselves over and over again, and that using AI to figure out what is the best response and to have that automated is brilliant. Now with the pizza and automatically responding on Twitter, you might think, ooh, that's a little aggressive. There's a chance of a mistake.
Right, disaster mode, what's going on?
But what's great about that example is it pulls you in because it's so amazing, right? You're like, oh wow, that is crazy. But then you went to a more pragmatic version of, hey, you can put the draft in your Zendesk and tell people how to do it and change it if you want to. So I just love your ability to communicate why this product is going to work. And when you look at the AI machine learning space, people are thinking about, replacing lawyers, right? Mm-hmm. And replacing...
I've thought about that for a long time.
Well, yes, but replacing lawyers not by shooting them.
Got it. Okay,
I'm talking about throwing them off a building. Right. I'm talking about replacing lawyers with robots and with artificial intelligence. Right. And this is an example of, well, that seems too far-fetched, too hard for today's technology. This seems incredibly doable, and that any company would pay for this and eliminate those jobs that are repetitive, boring, and that humans should not be doing in my mind. So I just love your presentation, and I'm just really excited about Kylie.ai. I don't have any questions right now. I am completely sold. Brian, what are your thoughts?
So sadly, I'm also sold, but I have some thoughts. So I'm so sorry. We love you, and it was bulletproof, and it was great. So I get together for dinner with friends, and they'll play a little game, which is how many days, weeks, months, years, decades until your job is replaced by AI, right? And we go around the table.
Love it.
And at some point, somebody's like, well, I write comedy for a living, and robots, that's the last thing they'll be able to do. Like, your job, sure, next year, the year after, right, driving, whatever it is. But theirs is the hardest. And it's really, it's going to happen. It's going to be inevitable. So for a while, I could count the number of friends who had AI startups. Like there was 2, 3, 4. Now there's dozens. Pretty much all my friends work on things related to AI. It's a hot space. It's really good. I think the way you used the examples, the way you showed the pizza one, you really put a little, this little sort of like crazy doubt in an investor's mind or somebody's mind. They're like, oh, wait a minute, I just turned over my DiGiorno Twitter account to you. What happens if there was a shooting or an attack or something terrible happens?
Sure.
Do you want this robot going off with your account? And then the second example you give, before we even have a chance to ask you a question about disaster mode, is, well, no, we don't always just take the steering wheel. Sometimes we suggest something for you like GPS, and you do the actual driving. So I thought that was a brilliant move to show this one that might rattle somebody or scare them, and then already have the answer baked into your presentation of, actually, it doesn't actually happen like that.
It's sort of like autopilot on your Tesla or in a plane. It's like, the pilot took off, the pilot landed.
Right.
But when we're up at 35,000 feet, it was just fine to let the autopilot steer us around.
Who doesn't want to be bionic and have people, people's jobs do better? So
all right, I'll ask you a couple tough questions. Hopefully, you give me nice, concise answers. Are you making money yet? Are you pre-revenue or are you just doing betas right now? Is the product finished? What's the state of product market fit?
The product is finished. We are pre-revenue, but we are currently working on free pilots this week. Actually, it was the first week.
Okay, so this is so people know you want to qualify where a startup is. You have people who have ideas. Those are not companies. They're ideas. Then you have people who have a business plan. Also, business plan, not a company.
Right.
Then you have a group of people in a room who have made a product and they have it in beta. Now, for me, that's when it starts becoming a company, when people are using the product, maybe not paying yet. So what that's a sort of prototype or a beta, and then after that you have product market fit and paying customers.
Right.
So that's where that pre-revenue, post-revenue comes from. So that would be accurately where we would put this startup, Kylie.ai, today in 2017. They are pre-revenue, but they're doing beta testing or pilots.
Yeah, people are using the product every day. That is currently happening. We're getting feedback. We're iterating.
And they're using it in the real world, not in your office.
Absolutely.
Right. So now this is where you can unpack beta. When you're an angel investor and you're talking to founders, some people say, we're in beta. And you say, okay, how are you in beta? And they say, oh, well, people in our office are using it.
Right.
Or my friends are using it. Or potential customers are using it who would be paying customers eventually. So that's where you can sort of start parsing a beta. Is it an actual beta test where your actual potential customers are using it and they're just not paying or they're not using it in the wild? Right. Or are you saying, you know what? We are using it in our office to, reply to customer support, right? And knowing that can give you a little bit of insight, because my follow-up question would be, how is it going? Who's been using it the most? And I don't want to do that right now because I know that's confidential information, but if you could describe in broad strokes the most successful beta right now, tell us just a little bit of color commentary on what's the most promising beta in your mind as the founder or co-founder.
That's a really good question, because it kind of speaks to how we display the narrative of Kylie in the companies that we're working with. And because it's AI, like you said, we teach a lot by example. And the example that we give is their own data. So the pilot is actually basically a full version of Kylie, but only with a few of the agents that would be using it out of the hundreds.
Got it.
So when we usually ask, how's this going for you? We always hit them with numbers. We're always hitting with, this is on average how much time we're saving per agent. If you extrapolate that out to an annualized contract value, this is how much you should be paying us. Let's charge you a percentage of that.
Got it.
Save you that much time.
So you're already to that point where you can look at a customer with only 3 of their 100 agents on and say, listen, these people are 25% more effective. You're not going to need to hire the next 25 agents. You can do it with 100 you have and just make them more efficient.
I'd say we'd be there in like 4 to 6 weeks,
okay.
But very soon.
Very soon. So you feel confident. That's great. All right, let's see our next startup. It's going to be a cannabis startup, Brian.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And it's called Leaf.
Right.
And cannabis is a space, also known as marijuana, but we use the word cannabis because I think it makes it sound more professional in the industry.
Official medical.
Official medical. So people are using the word cannabis in the investment industry.
Correct.
They're not using skunk or weed or marijuana. These are charged words. They're trying to rebrand it a bit with cannabis.
Joint ventures. That would be
joint
really
ventures,
good,
yeah.
right?
So joint ventures are huge in the cannabis space.
Exactly.
So a lot of collaboration there.
It was one of my favorite tracks in the startup session at the launch festival. It was just very colorful, neat products. It's a booming space. It is just like AI.
It is like, in a way, it's like AI in that it's new. And when you're an angel investor and it's a new space like that, you want to take your time, meet a lot of companies and try to understand it. I have yet to make an investment in the cannabis space, although I officially made this year, the first year at the launch festival, that we were going to lean in and embrace that category.
Right.
Because I believed at the time, we were on the cusp of a national referendum making cannabis legal. I'm not sure where that stands. President Trump is still president right now. Yeah. And if it becomes President Pence, there's no chance.
Oh, yeah.
I think Trump would actually let it go. In his heart of hearts, he would like to see it be legal.
Sure.
So it might be a little bit slowed down until maybe another election cycle or two. But I do think we're going to have a legalized national cannabis climate within the next decade. That's my belief.
Oh, absolutely. And don't you have an inside newsletter on cannabis?
We do, inside.com/cannabis. It's an active newsletter. It's smoking hot. Hello, hey-o. Well, we just want to nip it in the bud, any of these jokes.
Yeah, so I have no puns.
No puns?
Not a pie guy.
All right. So let's keep grinding and get to our next startup, Leaf.
Our next hit.
Whoa. Leaf. Okay, let's start.
Next up is Leaf. 3 minutes on the clock. 3, 2, go. Hey everyone, my name is Yoni Ophir, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Leaf. So the fastest growing sector in the $60 billion a year lawn and garden industry is cannabis home growing. In fact, in the United States, there are more hydroponic equipment stores than Target and Best Buy combined. And growing your own cannabis has tremendous benefits. You can choose exactly what strain you want. So if you want a strain that's better for your anxiety or a strain that's better for your pain. You also have the confidence of knowing that there are no harmful chemicals or pesticides. And on top of that, you could save thousands of dollars a year when you grow your own. But growing your own cannabis is difficult, time-consuming, and it's no wonder that 70% of first-time growers fail. Our solution to this is Leaf. Leaf is a plug-and-plant system that automatically grows cannabis and is controlled by your smartphone. Think of it as a beautiful mini fridge that stocks itself with cannabis. Oh my gosh.
It starts off with our custom-built LED light created by lead NASA agricultural lighting researchers and tailored specifically for cannabis growth. Leaf also has a patent-pending full climate control system that gives the plant the exact temperature and humidity environment that it needs at all times. And also, if you're growing in the winter in Toronto or the summer in Los Angeles, the plants will still get the same environment that they need to thrive. Leaf takes care of automatic nutrient dosing so that the plants get the nutrition that they need exactly when they need it. On top, and we also have a unique carbon filter that completely removes any smells whatsoever. On top of that, we have a built-in HD camera that allows our customers to remotely see their grows from anywhere in the world.
This isn't real.
And also creates beautiful time lapses that they can share with the community.
Is this for real?
It's real. And we pair that with a beautiful design that allows Leaf to fit perfectly into any home. The typical customer with Leaf will save over $1,500 in the first year of ownership. Yes, Leaf literally pays for itself in the first year. We recently launched a pre-order campaign, and we sold $2.5 million in the first 60 days. Yes. We are currently sold out for our 2017 manufacturing capacity, and we're taking orders that'll be shipped in 2018. We also recently won Hardware Product of the Year, Product Hunt's Hardware Product of the Year, beating out Microsoft Surface Studio and the iPhone 7. We are now live on SeedInvest taking investments to allow anyone to come in. Just go to getleaf.co/invest and plant your seed in the cannabis industry. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Very good.
So a pretty solid pitch.
Very.
How do you look at a new industry like this in terms of assessing it? We're really in the, not even the first inning in my mind.
Correct. Now you have to start looking at all the companies that are blossoming, but that are sprouting up everywhere. All the things that you can kind of compare them against others, right? Is there another Leaf or 2 or 3 more Leafs in this market that you can compare them against and say, is there a front runner in this specific category of making a device for the home like this? And I haven't done any research, so I don't know if there are 10 more companies like this, but man, the presentation, it checked off every box. I mean, it's cute, plug and plant, right? Little jokey, things like that. But who would think of a camera to watch your stuff grow, kind of like a baby monitor, right? For watching your kid at home. It's
back to
pretty
that
wild.
Sort of how good are they at designing a product or the craftsmanship of the product? When you look at things like the camera, the way he described the light, and then the filter, so that you can't smell the cannabis in the neighboring apartment, you start to think, wow, they're really listening to customer feedback. Somebody had to tell them, hey, I'm really concerned about smells. I need this to be sealed. I'm concerned about the aesthetics of it. I don't want to...
People used to grow it in a closet, right? And that was the big thing, the smell, right?
Right. And so it feels to me like it's very early for this industry. And when it's very early, I like to get to know the companies, maybe place small bets so that I can learn. In another way, it's like the investment in these early stage cannabis companies to me, and I'm going to start making some investments here, very small ones, is my way of having skin in the game so that I learn.
Right.
Just like if you were to learn how to play poker or blackjack, but you did it without money, the lessons would not hit as hard as when you walk up to the table and you put $100 down and you play $5 a hand blackjack. When you're losing $5 a hand and you're doing it wrong, your attention gets a little bit heightened.
Right.
And so what I like about this new era of micro angel investing, where equity crowdfunding exists, is you can make very small bets to get to learn, and that gives you access to the founders. So now you can say, I'm going to invest $500 in this company, let's say, or $1,000 or whatever it is, their minimum happens to be, and you can go to seedinvest.com/launch to see all these companies. You could then learn from the founder, and you could ask them to take a meeting. The founders almost always will take a meeting. Now, they're not going to take a meeting every day, but I'm sure they would let you come by the office and check things out and learn and ask questions. So in a way, if you think about what an education costs, which is $200,000, if your kid could spend $200,000 on an education, or they could take that $200,000 and invest it in 50 startup companies and meet with all the founders, which would put them further ahead in life going into the 21st century in your mind?
Depends on if they want to make money in life or not, Right. If they just want to, paint, something like that.
Maybe painting would be better.
Maybe painting, sure.
Yeah.
But in this, if they follow the plan and they send investor updates and you watch a couple of them fail, but it wasn't their reason, right? They ran into something else happened.
Competitors,
regulation, something like that, right? And then, but you've now known that founder, and when they're on their second or third company and the space is mature, you're the one who backed them back when they did that thing that flamed out and failed.
Right.
So now they're definitely going to take your meeting, and you're definitely going to get into a round for something really hot 3 cycles from now.
All right, there you have it, folks. Leaf, a really fascinating company. It's very early days, but clearly
reminds me of Tesla. It's a really neat product.
It's kind of like the iPad of
plus taking orders for 2 years from now, right?
Right. Yeah. It's clear there's some market for this.
Right.
Now, there's a lot of questions that have not been answered yet. How many orders? What's the profit margin? What's the competitive landscape going to be? What's going to be sustainable about this, right? What's the government regulation going to be? Will these founders be able to execute? Will the product be a lemon? You have a lot of issues, right? Yeah. You could look at Fisker, and you could look at Elon Musk with Tesla, and you could say, well, Fisker's designed other cars before, and Elon's never designed a car.
Right.
And Fisker's cars were garbage. And, they were like the laughingstock of the EV market, and now Tesla's become a juggernaut.
Right.
And nobody even knows what a Fisker is. When the Fisker came out, I had people telling me the Fisker was a better looking car. I didn't think so. It had, more interesting technology because they put a solar thing on the roof. And I was like, you put a solar thing on the roof, but there's no supercharging stations.
Right.
And the solar charger puts no miles in per day.
Right.
And the superchargers and the battery on the Tesla is 10 times bigger. It was just obvious to me that one person was a fraud and doing whipped cream on top of it, and Fisker just blew up. I don't know that he was a fraud, but it seemed to me, my angel intuition, that this felt like it was fugazi.
You have good angel intuition.
It's a little fugazi. It's like a fake. Fraud's a bit, maybe that's a little bit of a charged word. I'll take it back. But I'll say fugazi, like fake. And then I looked at Tesla and I was like, well, that seems pretty real to me. This technology feels much realer. Okay, that's Leaf. All right, we're going to have another startup called NowRX. Let's take a look.
We're NowRX, the on-demand pharmacy. NowRX is for anyone who's sick and tired of wasting time at the pharmacy. NowRX delivers same day all your prescription medications free of charge, so you never have to go to the pharmacy again. Just download the NowRX app, create an account, you can manage all your prescription medications right from your phone. The first thing you want to do is update a delivery address, your credit card information, and upload a photo of your insurance card. You can then transfer a prescription right to NowRX from a photo of your bottle, or have your doctor send a prescription to NowRX electronically. You then get connected to a pharmacist with video chat, and then you are all set, and your prescription will be delivered within an hour for a $5 charge or same day for free. NowRX is reinventing the pharmacy business model. We are creating highly efficient automated pharmacy operations in low overhead warehouse locations, coupled with drivers to deliver same day for free. How does NowRX make money? Like any other pharmacy. We make money off the sales of pharmaceuticals, where the gross margins are typically 18 to 25%. A question we get often asked is, why are we going to the trouble of building a pharmacy? Why not just build a technology platform that connects users with existing pharmacies? The short answer is regulation. The regulatory environment makes a platform play or Uber for X model very difficult in this industry. We don't believe it's viable long term. Several companies have made the attempt, and some are already out of business. What about the big pharmacies? What about CVS and Walgreens? Can't they just add delivery and compete directly with NowRX? Think about their strategy. CVS and Walgreens rent expansive retail locations. Their strategy is to attract customers into those stores so they can upsell you on all the other products. And they don't mind if you wait, by the way. So we don't believe they're going to rush to do a free delivery model, and we think they're vulnerable to disruption. There are some competitors in the space using similar models to NowRX. However, this is a massive market. It's $225 billion every year. We do not believe it's a winner-take-all. We think that because it's a commodity product, essentially, that the companies that provide the best customer experience over time will capture the most market share. NowRX has already provided the most user-friendly and full-featured app, and we also provide the best delivery experience. We provide precise 1-hour delivery windows for the ultimate in convenience. At the end of the day, execution is going to matter. NowRX has gone from launch to $2 million in annualized revenue in 14 months. By the end of 2017, we are projecting $6 million in annualized revenue and profitability. We do have our eye focused on defensibility. With our app, we have a unified communication platform, our logistics layer. We have an automated pharmacy system that employs robotics, and we have a system for optimized wholesale purchasing. You can download NowRX today, so you don't have to go to the pharmacy, and you can invest at SeedInvest. Thank you very much.
Okay, fantastic. Looking at that, there were some moments that I thought were really strong, some moments that made me pause and say, I got some follow-up questions. Competition was great. He showed competition.
Right.
But then he said, we don't believe it's a winner-take-all. And I said, well, that's kind of what I like to invest in. So I was hoping it would be a winner-take-most kind of space.
Sure.
What did you like about the presentation? What left you wanting more or was confusing to you, if anything?
So like you, I zeroed right in on the competition. I mean, he dove right into it, and he said, these are the things standing. People have tried this before and they failed. Here's why. I always love to hear that. And then the big competitors that, like in my space, right, Google or whatever, they could come in, right, and usually the technology players, what if Apple does this? What if Google does this, right?
Sure.
In his, it's what if CVS does this? What if Walgreens does this? And he had a great answer, which is their incentives are not aligned to it. So it goes back to the innovator's dilemma. Like, why will they not see this coming? Well, because they think it's a terrible idea to give your medicine quickly, because if you stand there and wait for an hour, you're going to buy a magazine, and they're going to make some profit margin on that. You're going to buy some other stuff. I might as well get some paper towels while I'm here, and look, they have milk, right? Boom, now you did a $90 bill when you came in to pick up your $10 copay medicine. So they don't see it as something that needs to work this way. And that's a fantastic answer, which is the incumbents they're not built to do this. They don't want to do this. They will never want to do this. And then you look at this guy and you go, well, later on when they're delivering all our medicine, same day, so you'd think same day would be expensive. No, it's within an hour is $5. Same day is free.
It's amazing.
So that's completely crazy. Then they could actually layer on all that other stuff. Now they can sell you magazines and bring you, tissues and toilet paper or whatever it is.
Sure.
Right? Why not build that in?
Why not add it? If there was some select items you could just add to your order.
Right.
What I did like about it was I started to, and he didn't mention this, and he should have, I think, which is the Amazon analogy. If you look at what happened to bookstores, if you look what happened to groceries, you look what's happening to Walmart, Target, and other places, consumers are saying, you know what? Going shopping and going to a retail location is death. It's horrible. And people like to say that retail is wonderful and the experience.
Social.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible. There's nothing delightful about shopping. In my mind, I hate it.
Sure.
There's a million things I would rather do than walk around a CVS or walk around a Walmart or a Target. I find that a horrible experience. You know what's a great experience? Going onto Uber Eats, going onto Amazon.com, going on Good Eggs or Instacart, and having what you want arrive on Amazon Prime Now or Uber Eats or DoorDash or whatever it is instantly, and not having to worry about it. Life gets so much better. Now, people in outside of San Francisco, they're not experiencing what we're experiencing here in the Bay Area, which is We have everything on demand. It's crazy. If you need a battery because you didn't have the right batteries, it will be in your door in an hour. So when you're on the weekend trying to get stuff done with your kids or around the house, and you are missing a battery, or you're wondering if you should watch a movie that night or order food and you want to cook a brisket, like I can get the best brisket in all of San Francisco to my house within an hour. I can get the battery. I can get...
We do printer ink. Like
printer
that's
ink.
The thing. It's gone now, and we need it, but we kind of need to keep doing things at home.
And I love, Amazon went to these satellite stores that they're experimenting with. This reminds me of the satellite stores, which is very tiny, concise locations in really cheap places, right? So you're not visiting them, but they're little tiny depots, and then you just zip the car going around. So I really, really enjoyed NowRX's presentation. Does it mean they're going to succeed? But it does mean it's well thought out and it's going with a certain trend line. Right? So what you're looking for, I think as an angel investor is there a market trend? And the market trend is give it to me now. I want it quickly. And anything that is slow or tedious or, wastes the time of the consumer is against that trend. Going to a store that is designed to make you wait in line and suffer is against that trend. Just like going and buying a car is arduous. So young people are like, I don't want to buy a car. I'll just use Uber. And young people are like, or young startups are like, I'm going to get an office space, assign a lease. No, I'm going to go to WeWork. And maybe after I hit 10 or 20 employees, I'll leave WeWork and get my own space because I have to. But generally speaking, people want things on demand, and they want it easy, and they want it month to month, and they want it quickly. It's all of the trends are in NowRX's favor in my mind.
And then they do the magic part, which is they take that trend, which is hot and smart, it makes a lot of sense, and they apply it to a very specific market. So they said they've found validation here that if we do this here, you hate waiting for prescriptions, it will work there. But if it was a house care, child care on demand, you might not want somebody that hasn't been vetted, that you've never met before, to show up in 5 minutes to take care of your kid. So there are some places where you can apply this trend and it fails, and some places where it looks like it's smart. The founder did some research and found a fit.
This is there's another trend here, which is not interacting with other humans. I consider this a real trend. If you think about the cab dispatcher or the travel agent or people in these various positions, the money manager, the wealth manager, I have gotten rid of all of those people in my life and replaced them. Like, you don't have a travel agent anymore. You don't have a wealth manager. You use Wealthfront. You use Kayak. And you don't want to have these people inserting into your life, slowing things down, and taking a commission. This gets rid of that awkward interaction where you have to go up and say, I need my prescription. The person says, oh, yeah? And they look at your prescription, right? And it could be for any number of very personal, private things. And they're like, oh, yeah, let's confirm what you have here. It's like, I think it's pretty terrorizing for some people to go and have them be like, whatever the pill happens to be. But if you're on... I mean, I don't want to make light of it, but if somebody's on an antidepressant, it's like very personal. It's better to just have it.
You can name anything, and it's all personal.
It's all personal. So, like, getting rid of that also makes it kind of nice, I think, for people. All right, I'm really excited about NowRX. I think it's got great potential. Go ahead and visit SeedInvest.com/launch if you're interested in getting to know these companies, maybe even investing. You could dip your toe.
They've got revenue.
Here's a million disclaimers.
Sure.
Most startups fail. You need to be diversified. Read my book coming out July 18th.
That's an official disclaimer. Yes.
Read the book. It's got a million disclaimers in it. And maybe don't invest more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% of your net worth if you're going to do this, and understand that there's a distinct possibility you could lose it all.
But
if you lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% of your net worth, I don't believe that's going to be...
You think it's a learning experience.
I look at it as a learning. I look at the positive with it, which is if you're betting very small amounts, you can learn. You don't want to go into one investment with everything. That's the big mistake. I'm going to invest $25,000. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put $500 into 10 companies. Then I'm going to look at those, maybe put another $500 into another 10 companies. Now I'm at 10K. Then I take that last 15 and I look at which three of those 10 or those 20 which 3 of those 20 do best? I'll put 5K extra at each one.
Double down on the winners.
Double down, triple down on the winners. Okay, let's meet our next company, Lafley.
My name is Dave Scott, and I'm the CEO and founder of Lafley, and we're here to heal the world. Jokes aside, laughter has a lot of medicinal benefits. Not only does it increase your serotonin and dopamine levels, but it also reduces stress and relieves pain. In fact, there's a reason why 5 of the top 20 TED Talks of all time are on the power of laughter. In fact, everyone loves to laugh, and that's why it's an $8.5 billion industry. That's also why it's the #1 search on YouTube, Facebook, and Netflix. So introducing Lafley, the first of its kind app designed to deliver laughter 3 times a day for about, 51 minutes per session. Think of us as a Pandora for stand-up comedy. So there's a couple of different ways that you can actually enter our app. First of all, you can take advantage of our largest on-demand catalog in the world, featuring 700 comedians and over 18,000 hours of comedy. You can also dig into a specific comedian like Jim Gaffigan and actually see what his discography is and see what he's similar to, and also talk to other fans about Jim Gaffigan specifically. You can do the exact same thing with albums. You can dig into the album, check it out, listen to the tracks, and also converse with fans as well. This is 10 times the inventory of Spotify and Pandora. Or if you really don't know who you actually want to listen to, you can start a radio station. All you got to do is pick your favorite comedian, like Louis C.K., and we actually improve the station over time with over 150 different attributes of comedy. It actually learns as you go. Our algorithm is better than Pandora and Spotify because they actually use manual curation for their stations. The other thing that we do is we just recently launched live stand-up. We've partnered with some of the best comedy clubs and some of the best comedy festivals, like the Moon Tower Comedy Festival, in order to stream guys like Patton Oswalt, Ali Wong, Chris Hardwick, streaming right to your living room. So we're very excited about that new announcement. So we just talked about how we deliver our daily dose of medicine to our fans and comedians, but let's talk about how we actually serve the comedians specifically. Meet Ben Rosenfeld. Ben Rosenfeld is an up-and-coming comedian in New York City. He's been around for about 5 years. He's actually self-published 2 albums. Now the question is, how does he make money on these albums? How does he get exposure? Well, what he can do now is he can actually log on to our brand new self-upload tool. Ben can actually create an account, upload his bio. He can also upload his 2 different albums and all the tracks associated with it, and within hours, it's actually live on our app. He can also log in a little bit later on, check his analytics, see who's been listening, and see how much money he's made directly from our relationship. You and I, we can actually go onto our app, check out the emerging comedian section on the page, and actually find all of Ben's phenomenal work. You can listen to it, you can look at his bio, and you can do everything we could do with someone like a Kevin Hart.
Okay, time's up.
Yeah.
Let's hear it for Lafley.
All right. Well done. A little
like
golf
that
clap, an extra one. And we have a pretty strict clock, 3 minutes at the launch festival and during our
crazy.
events. And what we do is now, because no founder will ever stop talking at 3 minutes, they're always going to push for an extra 30 seconds. We just have the microphone up in the control booth. The AV people just go from 100% microphone to 75, 50.
Fading.
It just fades.
Better than playing music.
I think it's better than like doing the Oscars thing.
Right.
But listen, Brian Alvey, of course, is the founder of Clipisode, and this reminded me a little bit in the last part he was talking about uploading your own stuff. What are your thoughts on Lafley?
Yeah, so I gave him a lot of grief before the conference about his presentation, about his business, because it seemed like, why aren't Pandora and Spotify just going to do this? They have a comedy channel, right? What's your competitive advantage? Why should there be a comedy-specific Pandora when there's already a Pandora, right?
Okay,
that was the big thing. And he had good answers for it. I think the answers got better by the time he got up on stage, which is fantastic. The funny thing was my son, who hasn't downloaded my app, Clipisode, downloaded Lafley and actually tried it out. He really liked it because he watched the pitch prep, and we walked out, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I downloaded the app. It's pretty cool."
Yeah, on its face, you would think, I wonder if this will work or not. And what I've learned, apps are extremely hard.
Right.
There's so many apps out there. Discovery is very hard. It's a lot of money to pay for installs. However, subscriptions, which are a new feature that Apple has been promoting, is really working for companies that we've invested in, like Fitbod FITBOD, and com.com. They both have something in common, which is they both provide massive value.
Right.
I think Lafley kind of falls into that as well. I think if it makes you laugh and you discover a new comedian, I actually think that's massive value. People love to laugh. Now,
I agree with this pitch.
Yeah.
Right? People do love to laugh. So I think now, looking at it for the second time, getting to watch him a second time, I'm actually more sold on it, and here's why. I've been watching Spotify and what Spotify does.
Yes.
They provide a dashboard of tools around their services. They get the artists locked in.
artists, yeah.
Correct. So if they can get musicians locked in and he can get comedians locked in,
perfect.
He's not going to have to worry about Spotify or Pandora because they're going to go there first. They're going to love the tools. It's what MySpace was back in the day.
Yeah.
Before MySpace became 150 things where you could have a MySpace email, you could MySpace chat, MySpace this. It was 5 tools that only musicians needed. I need to put in my tour dates, my photos, and manage my fans. And if he can have that for comedians and they go there first and they make exclusives there and they interact with fans there, that's the place to go for comedy.
Right.
So
and, in the early days of a startup, and this seems like an early startup, you have a lot of different ideas and you're doing the classic spitballing.
Right.
And so when you look at it, it's like, oh, it's Pandora. Oh, but you get the full albums from the top people and you can upload. There's a lot of different pieces. And then I think what will happen is eventually they'll look at the data and figure out which piece works best.
Right.
Is it the Pandora channels or is it the emerging artists? Which one actually works the best? But when you think about the TED Talks and Netflix, again, getting back to market trends, there is a huge market trend of comedy.
Right.
SNL, Saturday Night Live, has totally figured out social media now. They are making skits for the show, not based on what they think people will tune into, but they're figuring out what will work on YouTube, what will work on Twitter, what will people talk about, to the point at which they had Alec Baldwin become a series regular, which is basically like doing a collaboration like they do on YouTube, which is bringing outside artists in to collaborate on some regular, sort of series. So they're making these arcs.
Right, and I think they watched. Conan O'Brien did a very good job of that, conquering Twitter. Jimmy Fallon did a really good job of that. You would watch a skit and go, he's not doing this to do it, he's doing this to get something that goes viral. And then you watch the carpool karaoke, correct?
Is the number one
the biggest thing, right? So then you go back to SNL and you go, all right, we have all these people watching us. It's the year of Trump. Like we're back.
And we have all this comedic talent.
Exactly. What can we do? And I think they're doing a very good job of making things that are very, very shareable.
And this is where I think what Clipisode does, your product allows people to ask a question or put out a call for responses and get a bunch of responses. I think a Clipisode-like feature or using Clipisode to make episodes to put into Lafley where you said, hey, tell us your best dad joke. Tell us your best joke about Ivanka Trump or Melania Trump or whoever, or best joke about Steve Bannon, like very topical things, or give us your best Trump impersonation. Now, all of a sudden, you're getting free original content that could go viral, that could have your brand on it, and you can only get there. So
the reason I'm looking at Spotify so much is because we've talked to them a bunch about musicians and how musicians work and what they want and those tools around that. We think the 2 biggest markets for us, the 2 best adopters for us are musicians and comedians.
Makes sense.
Comedians is probably the best one because who else can riff on all the answers that come in and come up with the best ending at the end to their own question besides a comedian?
Right. And a comedian only needs a microphone.
Yeah.
You don't need to take a keyboard out or a guitar. They can just go.
Correct. Yeah.
It's one of the great things about it.
I'm excited.
All right. Well, this has been an amazing episode. Thanks again, Brian Alvey, for coming in. You can follow Brian Alvey. He's at Brian Alvey on the Twitter. And you can email Brian. He is a venture partner at the Launch Fund, which is your Brian@launch.co.
Correct.
If you're pitching you on startups.
Oh, yeah. It's happening already.
Oh, is it happening? Great. And so we haven't even made a real official announcement about it. We should put out a little press release or something about it.
Oh, no, people who are applying for the incubator, everybody.
Everybody knows you're a venture partner now.
Yeah.
Okay. And so hopefully, Brian, is another way for you to, get involved in Launch Incubator, Launch Festival, and the different things we do here at Launch to support founders and inspire innovation. This has been another amazing episode. Thanks to the team, Jake, Jackie, Luke, Ashley, Jess, Julia, Troy. Great team here. Got a great team. And we'll see you next time on This Week in Startups. Bye-bye.